Hello, good morning or good afternoon to everyone who is joining us today. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us with our webinar for Mastering Phone Skills. We hope that we're looking forward to having a wonderful webinar with all of you here. I am joined by my colleague, Jacqueline Pickering. We're both senior account executives here at AnswerConnect. Jacqueline, if you want to do a little bit of introduction on yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate everybody being here today. Again, my name is Jacqueline Pickering, working here with Rita. We are here to chat further about how you guys can learn a little bit more on how to be better on your phone calls and what we can do to help. Thanks, Rita.
Beautiful, beautiful. And not that it's not enough to have Jacqueline joining me here to do this webinar, but we're so excited to have Lisa Shorr. And she is with Shorr. Shore Success, and she has been an owner and a coach of businesses for over 25 years. So, thank you for joining us, taking the time to be with us today, Lisa.
I am so excited to be with both of you today. Thank you so much for having me. And this discussion, I know, will have a plethora of immediate takeaways. So I'm excited to get started.
I love it. Same here. So, let's do it.
All right, awesome. So, I think, oh, sorry about that. I think that we'll go ahead and start with a little audience interaction. We're asking a quick question here. When you contact a company, how quickly do you expect them to get back to you? So, if you can just put a little information in the comments on what you think or what you expect when you're reaching out. Rita, what do you think?
I mean, as a consumer, which is what everybody is, like, I want an answer now because I can just move on to the next person that I find in Google, right? So why am I waiting for you to call me back?
That's
I
true.
mean, right? Yep.
That's
Yeah,
true.
I
Lisa, what
agree.
about you?
Well, in our day of distractions and constant technology right at our fingertips, really the need to get back to someone, and I'm seeing in the comments like 3 to 5 working days, and they're on to the competitor, they're on to the next. So I would say, I'm in the service industry. Answering the phones live is best, but within an hour or two is really, you've hit the maximum point there.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I see it's all over the place there. Fraser, I
Yes.
think, had said ASAP.
Mm,
I'm with Fraser myself. If
Yes.
I'm calling out to a company, I want an immediate response, or else I'll just go to the next person.
absolutely. And I'm with Michael because he agreed with me. So, I mean, thank but absolutely. I do see some people who are saying 1 to 2 days, 3 to 5 days. Listen, if my sync or anything is not working, I need an answer and I need it
Yeah.
now.
Absolutely. And there are so many varieties of competitors out there that we can reach out to that it's all at our fingertips. We're able to just Google right away and find reviews, find phone numbers. So we're not waiting. We're not a waiting
Yeah.
society anymore. We're definitely, and if you want to set yourself apart and create that first impression, quicker is better. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you everyone who has participated in
Yeah.
that poll. We appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So that actually brings us to 46% of customers expect a response within 4 hours. So I know we were sort of all over the place. When Rita and I were prepping for speaking on this, of course, we always talk about going to Google. If we're looking for any type of business, it's a very quick Google search, but when you do a search, you don't just get one hit. So if you're calling out to that first person and you don't get a response, you as the business owner have to know that that person who's looking might be just going on to the second hit, the third hit, the fourth hit. So
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of hits, first of all.
it goes
So
on forever.
we know Google just keeps going on and on, but that is that's a pretty big number. 46% of people that
Mhm.
expect that response in 4 hours. I honestly feel they are pretty generous with that. Again, apparently I am one of few
Right.
that just wants that answer and I want it now. That's our society, right? We want instant gratification for everything.
I couldn't agree with you more, Rita. I couldn't
Yeah,
agree with more.
thanks. Yeah. So another poll. If a company doesn't answer your call, how likely are you going to try calling again later, that same company? That's a good question. I think everybody knows my answer, right? I'm not gonna call back. I'm not calling you again for sure. And
What if
I know that Michael was saying, and one of the last comments from there, that people are so distracted that they lose context so quickly, which is true,
right?
right? We're so distracted by so many things, our phones, our computers, all the things. So I think that's something important. Okay, Shanna's not calling back. Most people aren't. Yeah, nobody.
I'm with Shanna.
Yeah, and so, Fraser, I'll move on. So if any of you, in here are
Yep.
answering those questions that I'm not calling back, I'll move on, that sort of thing. If any of you are business owners, I would just ask, are you answering your calls? Maybe on that second or third ring.
That's such a critical question that, you bring up. And Michael, you're right. This is all about mastering those phone skills. Google is hit or miss. You pick up what you call someone, you don't know what kind of customer service you're going to get. You're going to call the next. But that answers that really begs the question is why are clients hiring us? And truthfully, the phones are really the foundation. So for everybody on this call, first and foremost, when you're mastering phone skills, it's really to think about why are clients coming to me? Not just how are they finding you, but really why are they coming to you? Why are they hiring you?
That
So,
so true. I love that.
so critical, so critical. And the number is astounding. Look at
There
this.
it is. 85% of missed callers will not call back. So, as
Right.
Lisa was saying, that's a huge number when it comes to business. Are you there to be able to pick up those calls? When you pick up those calls, what are you doing on the calls to help set yourself apart? For sure.
Yeah, and where are those 85% of people going to? They're going to
Right.
your competition, right? So nobody wants that. I mean, you're in business for business, so you want to keep that business, and answering those calls is so important.
You really want to find ways to set yourself apart. And how do you do that? The first thing is to answer the phones, but not just answer the phones, but answer them well, answer them with enthusiasm. So, such a
Yeah,
critical.
That
Oh,
actually, Lisa, you have a story to share about
I
this, no?
sure do. I sure do. So,
Personal experience.
so Shore Success came to be because I have Shore Success, my imaging consulting business. But I'm also an owner, a co-owner. My husband and I run an IT business called Secure Future Tech Solutions. And about more than a decade ago, we got fired from a company, from a car dealership. And it wasn't because of our tech skills, it was because of our phone skills. When my husband went into what he thought was a sales meeting, he sat down in front of the buyer, and the buyer said, Eric, this just isn't working out. And my husband was like, I know that, the server project took a little bit longer, but I know we fixed it and we took notes on how to fix in the future. But he said, no, every time I call, you act as if you have no idea who I am. And when Eric came back to me completely dumbfounded that it wasn't our marketing, it wasn't our tech skills, it was our phone skills. Those all important phones, those first impressions, that relationship building. And so from that, I was handling all of the marketing and communications for my tech business, but I expanded into becoming an image consultant because it was so important to look at all aspects of what a client or a prospect was seeing. And they're seeing and hearing our phones. So this conversation today with AnswerConnect couldn't be more critical in a time where we're texting, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about AI soon. We cannot forget about making relationships on the phones. And we didn't say names. We acted apathetic on the call. Never again. Never again. And that's why you're seeing me today partnering with AnswerConnect because the phones are that critical. And if leaving today with this from this webinar, please take stock in how you and your team are answering the phones. And if they're not, let's have that conversation.
That's a pretty expensive lesson for sure.
Oh,
Lisa,
boy.
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really was. It wasn't just, it was a $10,000+ a year client, but think about that when you have contract renewals, when you have testimonials, when I also lost out on referrals. They were also expanding their dealership. We lost out on that project. So you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars that we lost because of our phones. Icing on the cake with the phones. Can you imagine? It's like, so. Yep.
It's true. It's true. And I think a lot of people, we've grown up on face-to-face interaction, so we forget just how important it is to still be sociable when you're on phone calls.
Mm.
This slide here, your first impressions matter. So how we're answering that call, Lisa, you had mentioned your client saying, they don't know who I am when I call, things like that. So we have to make sure we're making it count. We're looking at the customer experience that we're offering on phone calls. Is it a quick, barely graze past it, or are we really taking the time? So it says here 86% of customers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience. And I think that's really impactful. It speaks volumes to what the current market wants out of the business partners they choose.
100%.
Absolutely. Christine, I see your question in there. So what is the right way to answer the phones? We're going to cover that a little bit later to go in a little bit more detail, but you see a little bit of it here in what Jack just spoke to. And Doug, this is why you need us. So what about answering the phone when you're already on the phone with another? That just kind of marries right into us. So thanks for that, but we'll address that as well later in this webinar. Yeah, so keeping business human in a world of AI. I think everyone here, every day, all day, we're hearing about AI. We're wondering if we're going to keep our jobs. We're wondering what is happening to the world. We know that there are endless AI solutions for businesses, and AI can help make your business more efficient, but can it truly connect with your customers? So at the end of the day, artificial intelligence is what? It's artificial. So it's just like that sweet and low. It's just never going to be sugar. It's never going to be the same, right? So it's so important to have that human connection, I should say. Whenever you are calling somewhere, AI really can't answer a lot of whatever it is that you might have a question about. It can only go so far, and it can only have so much personality at the end of the day.
Right.
So we're not against AI. I mean, listen, we're a tech company. So Lisa has a tech business. So it's not that we're against AI. We just know that there is a place for it, but it's not answering your phones.
It can't be. You're absolutely right, Rita. There's a lot of efficiencies that AI can bring us from productivity and efficiencies, but the one thing it doesn't replace, and it can't replace, it doesn't have the capability of emotional intelligence and having that ability to connect emotionally and know when someone's calling, you have to match their emotions. So here's a little bit of your answer, Christine, to part of your answer for what's the right way to answer phones. First of all, is really thinking about emotional intelligence and matching your emotions to the caller. And so are they feeling nervous or frustrated? Are they feeling excited to buy your product? And your voice needs to have that matched emotion. So critical. And AI can't do that.
Beautifully said. I know, that was just beautifully
Perfect.
said.
That was
Yes.
perfect. Next slide here. We're actually asking again for some comments from our audience. Have you ever left an interaction with a bot feeling a sense of connection or warmth? I'd love to hear those responses because I think Lisa just hit the nail on the head there.
What do people think? Get your fingers going. Yes,
Yes.
no.
Yes. You're right, Lauren.
Lauren, spirit animal.
Super. Yes. I love that. Definitely
Right.
a spirit animal. It is frustrating, right?
Right, Debbie.
We talk about that on the phone. We talk about that, in the computer when you're in a chat somewhere, that you just know that they are not answered because they're not a human. Jack and I often, uh, well, laugh, cry, angry at, when we're trying to contact somebody and this is what you're hearing. So it's never a great experience. So
Yeah.
again, I always say, think of yourself as a consumer. Just like those people that are calling your business, they are consumers as well. And if you aren't liking what you're hearing when you're calling somewhere, they don't like hearing that either, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
Christine,
I love it. Look at
live
the
person,
responses.
all of
Alive
us, all
person.
of us, speak with a live representative.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh, we so can understand that 100% because we all do that. I love that. Good one, Christine.
For sure. So, real connection, it's a people thing. 78% of consumers prefer to speak to a real person over AI or a bot. Not shocking there. 71% of consumers say AI does not improve the customer experience. And then 84% of consumers want companies to disclose if they're using AI in their customer service. Those are pretty powerful numbers there. I think, just as Lisa has said, there is a time and place for AI. If I'm calling to pay my bill or if I'm calling to start a return, those are fine. But when
Yeah.
I'm calling and it's my first time or if I'm having an issue, um, I want a real person. And I think most consumers, again, would feel the same there.
It can't be stressed enough that the human interaction, if you're in any industry is service based. Anytime the phone rings, somebody needs you and you have an opportunity to lead that discussion with empathy, with open communication, with interest. And so the phones really, and AI just can't connect that way. They certainly are efficient. If you want to pay a bill at midnight and you're like, oh my God, I forgot to pay my Macy's bill, and use AI for that. But not if you're having, like, I own an IT company, and if someone's server is down and no one is able to work, and we're answering the call, hi, how are you? Oh, your server's down. Let's get that figured out. No, it's like, oh my God. Okay, let's talk about this. Your server's down. Okay, let me look at the schedule. Let me see what I can do. Do you notice how my voice was varied very distinctly? It's really critical we take note of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, investing in a great service to answer those calls quickly,
Mhm.
as Lisa well knows, could be the difference between winning or losing a client.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Each call is an opportunity to make that relationship. And we often think, I'm just going to grab the phone. I'm just going to grab it. And it's not just grabbing the phone, it's an opportunity to start building rapport. And that's really where our phones, and that's where my company missed the mark. We got fired because we didn't think about building that rapport. We were, servicing clients and we were doing all the things, but we weren't doing the things intentionally well. And so that's the difference. So you got to build those personal brands for sure each time.
Yeah. And I mean, I have yet to call a business that I'm just calling just to chat to someone because I'm lonely.
Right.
So that means that every call that is coming to your business, it's a lead, it's an opportunity. It is someone who is needing you, and you really have to jump on that and answer that call as quickly as possible.
So critical, because you're going to go, as everyone posted here, you're going to go on to somebody else. You're going to go on to your competitor
Mhm.
because you don't have the patience. And you really, these days, with Google at our fingertips, we do have that list. It's like going on Open Table, selecting a restaurant, right? There's a variety of restaurants. I want to go at 6:30. I have 4 people in my guest list. Give me the list. And then you pick from there. I don't have anything in mind, or whatever your industry is. There's plenty of us around, competitors around. Why us? Because you want that relationship, and you are going above and beyond and really thinking about each call as that, how can I help you kind of mindset.
Yes, absolutely. How can I help you?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have Lisa share some numbers, the true cost and on her end of every call. So every call to your business could be a new lead. We just talked about that. And how much does that lead cost you? So it's something that we always talk to our leads about when we're talking to someone. Uh, and sometimes they don't even know. I don't even know how much that would cost me, which honestly, if you're in business, you should have that information, right? But you should answer every call. We keep talking about this, and we're going to continue talking about this until the end of the webinar because that's what it's about. The way that you answer the phone could make or break that opportunity. Lisa continues to talk about that as well when she's talking about the image consulting part of it and how she's able to help people with that. Do you want to share some of those
Yeah,
numbers,
happy
Lisa?
to. Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious, and put it in the chat, everybody. How many of you actually know how much what your cost per lead is and your cost for bringing on a new client? So what is your cost? Do you know this? You can just say yes or no, I know it, or I don't know it. For my company, for my IT company, we track our cost per lead and our cost per cost per client. And it's $420 each time the phone rings. Each time a lead calls our office, it costs my company, with all the expenses built in, divided by the number of leads that have come in to my office. And this is based on historical data. So we track the leads that come into our office. We track all of our marketing activities and marketing, some of the marketing coordinator salaries. That's all built into this. And it came up to $420. So if I bungle a call, I don't answer the call, or we have someone who's disinterested or not trained, and I'm going to talk about that training in a bit, on how to answer the phones, then I've lost $420. Anytime the phone rings, we don't know. So part of really understanding the phones and valuing your phones is understanding your cost per lead. My cost to bring on a new client, now that was much higher, and that's $6,450 to bring on a new client. It costs me over $6,000 to get someone to sign a contract. So if I don't take stock in how my phones are answered, and I already told you how we got fired, now I want to talking to you about getting hired, getting those clients, and really the strategies to get those clients to call you and stay on the line and see your value, build that trust. And so thinking about that, $420 each time, it's a lot of money, and $6,000 for a client. Think about it for your own business.
Such great information, and that definitely is not chump change
No.
at all.
No.
So, I mean, we know that capturing those leads and being able to get that return on the investment, right? That's what we do. That's what every business is trying to do. So, very important. Anything you want to add to that, Jack?
No, I mean, I'm right there with you. Rita and I talk about this often. One of the big questions we're asking people when we're doing a consult is how many calls are you missing per day or per week or per month? Shocking amount of people don't have that number. And it is important, Lisa, you just did a complete breakdown of what it costs per call or what you guys could potentially make per call. And I think every business that's looking to do that growth should have an estimate of what that number looks like. If not, it gets a little dicey.
So true.
It's
So
really
true.
important to know your numbers when you're growing your business, even for your phones. We do a lot of time. I know many of you probably spend a lot of time in your QuickBooks and your profit and loss statements and tracking all of that. But we should also track the value of the leads coming in your office, of the calls coming in, how many calls you're missing, because that really sets the tone and it helps you to be able to make directions in your business and decisions on, where you need to course correct or where you need to enhance or what you need to keep doing. So other than just shooting a dart and not being sure, it's so important. And so having that process, I love this first line, which is the bullet point, which is having a process to ensure your calls never go to voicemail, starting with having an answering service and designated people to answer that call live will immediately set the tone for that relationship building, immediately set that tone. So I can't stress that bullet point 1 enough. And then someone did mention, I saw in the chat about call overflow. So you guys can talk about that for sure.
Yeah, I think that was Christine was asking that well, I'll have someone call you back is superior to leaving a voicemail and the company itself returning the call. So this is true. Absolutely. We really talk about that some people will say, and I'm always amazed, as I know Jack is too, when people say, oh, I can take the call, or they'll call me back, or worse, they're with a client and they take the call. I mean, that is just something that you should never do. You should never be with a client and then turn around and take a call from someone. I mean, the rudeness level of that is probably a 10 plus. So having somebody answer the call, even if you're not available, I think we all feel a lot of comfort when we can hear somebody's voice to answer the call and let us know what is going to happen next. Somebody's going to return your call within a certain period of time, or I can transfer you to someone else, or just get your information to get that over to them.
Yeah, Christine, calling out and being able to speak with someone, someone who doesn't have a lot of background noise, someone who isn't, with a client or in the middle of something else. I would rather always speak to somebody versus going to a voicemail. Many people don't leave voicemails anymore, therefore, people don't listen to voicemails. If I reach a voicemail box and I leave a message, I might hope that they're going to call me back, but majority of the time, if I'm speaking with somebody at the company, I know that my voice has been heard. I know that my request has been made. I trust much higher that somebody's going to get back with me than just leaving it in a voicemail box.
I'd love to add in to that because that's such a critical, I'm glad you brought that up, Christine, but it's the next piece of that is not only saying I'll have somebody call you back, because I agree voicemail isn't really the best mode because it doesn't build credibility. It just says, I'm just going to stick you in there in voicemail. So you're right. I'm just going to push you over and and hope and maybe, but the credibility builder comes in when people actually follow up and call back. So that's something, an additional piece to mastering phone skills is making sure you have a process and a protocol for calling people back. So not just, if someone is taking a message, making sure that within an adequate time, you call back.
Yes, for sure. And I don't know about anybody else who's in here, but I never remember to check my voicemails. So I have found some from maybe a little ways back. So if any of you have called me and left a message, it probably wasn't the best idea, but I don't know if anybody else has that happen. So imagine these are just personal calls. I can't even imagine if these were business calls. So voicemail is not, definitely doesn't give anyone the warm fuzzies.
Not so often.
Yeah. So practical tips for improving phone skills. And I may have to have Jack take over a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm kind of losing my voice in and out, so I'll do the best I can. But this kind of goes back to what Christine was talking about. So to improve the skills, you answer quickly. Never let the call go to voicemail, which we kind of just talked about quite a bit. We are super proud here at AnswerConnect that we have a 99.7 answer rate to take those calls between the second and fourth ring. I mean, does anybody have fireworks right now? Honestly, I think that is just amazing. I love it. That was really not staged at all. I promise. I love that. But seriously, nobody wants to call a place, and we've all heard that long, the phone just rings and rings, and you're just thinking, is this even a real phone number? So nobody wants to hear that. We want to hear somebody, as Lisa has mentioned, respond in a warm, friendly tone. We want to match the energy of the company that we're answering the phone for and the person that's calling in. So answering the phone for, I don't know, maybe a medical practice is probably going to be very different than answering for a theme park. So you have to be mindful of how the people are answering those calls. That's what our agents are trained for with the custom scripting. Uh, we implement a script to capture the most important information that is needed on that call. And you can set up call forwarding rules to prioritize important calls. So if you need calls transferred to you and you've got an on-call team or you are the on-call team, we can certainly do those transfers for you. Pay attention to how your team answers the phone and adjust according to that feedback. So again, it kind of goes back to what we're talking about, matching that energy, mirroring that energy. I'm sure that all of you in here that are business owners know that not only are you a business owner, but you're a salesperson at the core of it. And so we all know what that means to mirror whatever someone is talking to us about.
I can't stress enough, Rita and Jack, how important. I'm amazed and really quite impressed by your answer rate, the 97%. And that right
99,
there, it's
99
really,
point.
99, excuse me, 99.7%. It's a phenomenal number that allows calls to be answered. Remember, it costs my company $420 just to get a lead to call. I'm curious to know what it costs your company to get a lead to call everybody that's on this webinar right now. And I encourage you to do the math and see for sure. And so answering that call and really being able to be warm and friendly and answering like a theme park versus a medical practice will be different. So a little bit about me is I am a coach. I'm an experienced coach. Yes, I own my own business. I'm also an image consultant, an IT business on the one side, and image consultant on the other. And I've been building my brand and credibility with clients for over 25 years. I take a leadership development approach. So I coach from the belief that every single person in the company is a leader, is an influential leader, and really has that responsibility to build brand loyalty. And that includes especially the phones and how we answer the phones, how we triage and transfer calls, our tone of voice, our attitude, all matters. And I am someone, let me tell you, who is brand loyalty obsessed. As an entrepreneur, as someone who understands the highs and lows of owning our own business, I'm curious to see here who owns their own business that's on the call. I'm right there with you. I empathize with you. I understand what it means to have happy clients, because those happy clients bring in more business. They bring in referrals. They want to buy more services from you. They want to have reoccurring services with you. And that's such a critical component to building that brand loyalty and that brand trust. So that's a little bit about me. Let me talk a little bit about how I work with clients. Oops, one slide. There we go. That's it.
There we go, Lisa.
That's it. Let's talk about, and Christine, this kind of answers your question also about mastering some of the phone skills. We've talked a lot about different strategies to use phones, and this is how I help clients really master the phones in 4 key areas. And this is a little bit unique because first of all, I don't have a cookie cutter program. I have a program that's unique to you. What are your needs? How do you want to work? What needs do you have? How do you want the phones answered? How do you want your customer experience to be? Each person, each company has their own culture, their own set of core values, their own purpose. The second piece is I always make sure, and please everybody write this down, when we're handling the phones, when we're dealing with clients in general, we think about emotional intelligence. And that's our ability to not only understand who we are and how we're feeling, but what message, what energy, what emotion do I need to project so that that client feels trust, feels loyalty, feels empathy, feels a connection. Then we focus, we get really granular, not just answering phones, but what do we sound like? So before we jumped on this webinar, we did a sound check. We talked about our microphones, our speakers, our volume. Same thing on the phones. Whether AnswerConnect is answering your calls, or the next stage is when they transfer the calls to somebody in your office. Does the voice sound happy, disinterested, empathetic? Also, a little thinking about background noise. Is it a distraction? And finally, as a coach, I'm not just a coach who says, okay, I'm going to teach you concepts and then you're going to, I'll leave and you're up to your own, you're up to your laurels. I actually help you create those scripts. I actually help you write those scripts. This happens to be what the script, this is an example from my office of what our scripting looks like from answering calls. And we provide this, if you know, for an answering service, you can provide this to AnswerConnect, to triaging and qualifying calls as well. So that's a whole comprehensive process so that by the time that we would be done working together, you would also have an actual script that you can then use throughout your entire organization or department that you also would provide to AnswerConnect so that you're all on the same consistent client experience. And so I don't want you to just have some, you know, bring a coach in and then we leave. My belief is to actually provide you tangible action items so that your phones are mastered. I don't want you to lose $420+ every time your phone rings and then you miss a call or you miss a lead. I don't want that. So I have an offer for everybody today. I'm curious about first impressions. So click on this QR code and book a meeting with me, and I'll help you. What I usually do with clients, but I'm offering here today, is a free first impression phantom call. In that call, so I'm going to call and pretend to be a client, of a prospect of yours, and let me see what I hear. As an image professional, what will I hear? I'll call your office and then we'll jump back on a second call and I'll give you a report of my findings with suggestions on improvement. So click on that QR code, book a meeting with me, and let's get this call started. I'm so excited to work with you.
I love that. I really do love that.
It's scary, but
I know.
good.
That was the other thing that I was hoping you would say something like that. I mean,
It
it's
is.
like scary, but kind of cool. Do you really want to know the answer to that?
Yes, you
Yes, you
do.
do. I know. But at the same time, you don't want to be the one that's giving the bad first impression, right? I mean, that is just actually, the more I think about it, it's mortifying, but it's really good. I
Almost
hope
every,
that yeah,
yeah.
I hope that everybody that's on here, and I think that they can share this, right? If somebody isn't on here,
Mhm,
they can
mhm.
share it with maybe other people that they know to share that. But I love that. I loved it. I just love the whole concept of this. What do you
Yeah.
do on the call? I'm just curious. Just a super quick.
I'm gonna pretend to be a prospect and I'm
Okay.
gonna call in wanting services. And the rest of it, I'm not gonna say because I want it to
Okay.
be a good phantom call. You know, I
Okay.
We
don't
don't
want to
want
give it all
anybody
away,
prepping.
or else it
I was
wouldn't be a
trying to help
phantom
you.
call. But I will pretend to be a prospect,
Yeah, I
and
love it.
I will, and then I will report in on my findings. And it is horrifying, and I can tell you, 99% of the calls I make blow me off. Like, they don't want to work with me, they don't know how to handle a lead coming into their office, they are disrespectful. I can't tell you
Mm.
how much, it's a very impactful. If you're looking for business growth for 2024, it starts with phones. It really does. It starts with Google, of course, and then the phones. So absolutely.
Thanks,
For
Lisa.
sure. Thanks, Lisa. And right hand in hand with that, who we are here at AnswerConnect, what we are is human. So if you guys are looking for a way to be able to ensure that every call that you receive is captured, AnswerConnect is here to help you do that. Christine, I know you've had a few questions about, answering service specifically. Sometimes we'll get that, oh, you're just an answering service. We're not just. We again have humans here who are able to capture all of those calls, ensuring that everybody who comes through is going to receive a friendly response from a real person. We are available 24/7, 365. So you can choose when you actually want those calls covered. It can be just business hours, it can be after hours only, or again, it can be round the clock. Um, and then in terms of versatility, we work with you with that scripting. If you're working with Lisa and you've got a good script down, maybe you come to us as that secondary to be able to ensure that all of those calls are caught up. We do the scripting, and we'll build that out so that we're handling the calls to your specifications. In addition, to streamline that, we do integrate with CRMs, appointment scheduling tools, depending on what you're using. So we try to keep everything sort of encompassed so that you guys have a sort of a full service option for covering those calls.
Yeah, and some fun quick facts. We were founded in 2002. We've been around for a while, so we're a nice seasoned company. And we serve thousands of businesses with over 1,500 plus employees. Something to note in here, does say Forbes Best Overall Answering Service 2024, but we also received that accolade for 2023. So I think that's important to mention as well.
Woo!
Congratulations.
Yeah, more fireworks.
Pew
More
pew.
fireworks. So, did you know that the average salary of an in-house receptionist is $38,865? Um, no coverage after hours or weekends. So this in-house receptionist is not there 24/7 answering your calls. Plus, they need paid time off and sick leave, and they need health care, and of course, any other benefits, 401ks or whatever else comes with that. And listen, we're all about making sure that you're taking care of an employee, right? So we're not saying, work them to the ground, but this is where we come in. This receptionist probably can help you with some other things versus taking phone calls. Maybe they can also be on the back end. I think Lisa kind of can speak to that as well for the IT part of their team, where you're answering. It's one of their techs that's answering a call. They're probably paying them far more than 38,000, and they're
Oh,
answering calls. So
we call
yeah,
that the blended rate. So the blended rate of an engineer or of any employee, it's never just the salary. It's really the entire package that you're paying them. So if you're
yes.
not looking at your employees in that way and really looking at the expense of your employees in that way, I encourage you to actually take this slide, take a really great screenshot of this slide. I think it's a great business slide to really value your employee and what they're really costing you. Your employees are your most important asset of your company, but they can also be your most expensive asset of your company as well. So I think this is a great slide.
For sure, yeah, and I mean, you guys have seen the minimum cost of what it would be to have somebody in-house. So, with an answering service here, again, you get that 24/7 support every day, every night, weekend, and holiday, and we start at $150 per month. So, um, big difference in cost.
Could
Huge.
never hire someone for $150 a month, 24/7. It just you'd be in jail. There's some type of labor law that you can't do that. I'm pretty certain of. But of course, it varies with your call volume, obviously. But either way, even if you were in a higher call volume, you still probably could not pay an employee what we could help you with. So how does it work? I feel like these are Christine questions. I would love to meet Christine one day because I'm fascinated that she's just so involved in our chat. So thanks again for that, Christine. But how does it work? We're going to ask your client or you're going to tell us a little bit about your business and what your call needs are. We give you a phone number. You forward the lines to that number. You will get instant notifications in real time. So when the call is concluded with our agent and your client or customer, you receive that information in real time via text, email, a phone app that we have. So inside your portal, your desktop portal that you have. So many ways or resources, if you will, to be able to get that information.
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, talking about message delivery, I know, Rita, you had mentioned the mobile app. I think many of us anymore work remote or we're constantly out of office. So we do have an app that comes included with the service. It does, I call it a little pocket CRM, is what I tell people, but it's really your little mobile office. Anytime we take a message on your behalf, we're going to send it there into your app. So like any other app you have on your phone, you'll receive that notification. If you have call recordings turned on, you'll have the recording to be able to hear the call if you'd like. You can respond to messages in the app by just simply clicking on the number. It'll give you the option to call or text. It can block your own personal number so that you're able to do that from a business ID. From the portal, your backend portal, it has those same features aside from your usage report. So we do want to make sure that we're very transparent about your billing and what your call volume looks like. So you'll have a breakdown of how many calls we've received on your behalf, how many minutes were used, and where every minute of those calls has gone to. So.
I love our phone app.
I do too.
Not just because it's
You're
ours,
a
but
little
I
more
do.
obsessed than I am, but
I truly am. I admit it. I am addicted.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. It's great.
And it's
So
great to have it at your fingertips too. It's really great that you guys are accessible anywhere around the globe. That's key.
oh, I love that.
And
Anywhere
peace
around
of
the
mind.
globe.
Mhm.
Yes, and that
The
is true.
marketer in me, you know.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. So, how we work with your systems, we connect with thousands of CRMs and apps. So, whenever we take a call, a message, that will appear in your chosen software if it's something that we can integrate with. So, it gives you time to focus on other tasks. We've been talking a lot about that, not having to repeatedly put in data entry, meaning if we're taking a message for you, that then you get that information, have to turn around and put it in yourself. Everything just kind of pushes into your CRM and, of course, avoids duplicate data as well. This is a little bit more complex in the sense of, well, I shouldn't say that. It's simple, but it's complex to cover in a webinar. But Jack and I are always available to you to kind of go into a little bit more detail about how we can work with your CRMs. We don't log into any systems, but we can do that one way integration into your CRM. And when I say we, I don't mean Jacqueline and I mean our uh, onboarding team, just as an FYI. Not that Jack isn't smart enough, but
thanks, Rita.
of course, of course. So we are going to play a video so you can hear from one of our happy clients. We're very proud, and we love what our marketing team did to interview him and get his feedback of how we have been able to help him.
Made my business grow. There's no question. The ability to have someone answer the phone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, has just been huge for my business. I can be in the middle of a meeting, see a call come in, and I'm not stressed because I know it's going to get answered, and it's going to get answered appropriately.
Honestly, I mean, not to be dramatic, but I'm going to be dramatic. It really takes my breath away to hear him talk about how there's a longer video that goes to that. But it's beautiful to hear how we really gave him back his work life type of, help me, Jack, life
Balance of work-life
balance.
balance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It really does, it makes me a little misty-eyed because how much we are able to help people, so, I just
Mhm.
wanted to say that.
Mm, I'm totally with you. The longer version of that, where he sort of goes into how impactful it's been on the time he can spend away from business stuff, because he knows that he's not over here, losing dollars because he's not picking up his phone, or losing existing clients because he's not providing a good experience to them. That he can, fall back and rely on AnswerConnect to be able to take those calls while he can focus on things that he wants to spend more of his time on. I think that's really beautiful. I was going to say the same thing, Rita.
You got misty-eyed too. Okay, good.
Not as misty-eyed, but yes, it is very impactful. Makes my heart warm.
Good.
So with that being said, I do just want to go back to the webinar here. We are offering a special today for anybody who has visited with us during this webinar. The services, they are a month-to-month subscription, but we would love for our attendees to give the services a try, very low cost. We have a $10 promo. It's $10 a month for your first 3 months of service. You get up to 300 minutes of use per month. What that does is it helps you understand the onboarding process, getting those scripts over to us, how the services work in terms of the call forwarding, how the agents are handling the calls. It also gives you an idea of what your call volume is actually going to look like. So you'll have access to those usage reports to see exactly who's reaching out to your company and why. The analytics on our usage reports are great. They'll show you your busiest days. They'll show you your busiest time of day. I think that's really important and helpful for businesses as well. So $30 investment to try the services out. So
Yeah, it is a great promo. And it is the full service, as Jack mentioned. So just so you know, we're not giving you $10 worth of service. This is the full service. So, if you're doing call transfers, if you need to do any kind of scheduling, CRM, anything like that is included in this. So I think that's important to know as well. Any questions? I think this is a great time to kind of wrap things up. I don't know if, excuse me, Hannah, was Lisa going to give any type of link, or are you going to do that? Okay,
Lisa's calendar link was shared in the
Yeah,
comments.
it's in the comments. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Yep.
a couple of questions that I
Thank
do see in here, of course, that I do see in here, one from Doug. Sales can be made on the phone. Sales can also be lost from the initial, okay, thank you, initial call as well. How do you steer a conversation to stay on script so the customer feels like their questions and concerns are being properly addressed? Doug, what an amazing question. I feel like you were planted in here. You weren't. But that is an amazing question. So it really does go back to the scripting as far as how our agents are trained to take calls. Our agents are amazing. They're professional, they're efficient, they're trained on how to kind of bring that person back to the conversation. I know that Jack can probably agree with me on the fact that sometimes we get property management companies or, senior citizens homes, things like that. And they're like, okay, a lot of times these people that are older, take offense to that, but anyway, that are older just kind of go off track, and I'm worried that this is going to eat up our minutes. But our team is amazing to be kind without just saying like, we got to get back to what we're talking about. They're kind to bring back that person to what you were wanting us to take on that call. So I hope that answers that question, Doug.
I'd love to add into that in terms of experience and really building rapport. You definitely want, Doug, to use your script, but you want to show different ways to demonstrate that you're listening, that you're hearing by, one tool you could try is to say it back. So what I'm hearing is that you're struggling, if we're using like a senior citizen home, you're struggling to get the care that you're at home, and getting the in-home care that you need. So you're looking for a new home for your loved one or for yourself. Is that what I'm hearing? Is that correct? Well, great. Let me ask you, I have a few questions to ask you. So then you're going to direct them back to the script. I have a few questions that I need to ask you as part of our protocol so I can really answer your questions the way that you need. So I empathized, Doug, first and demonstrated listening. then I gently directed them back to the script. So that's a great way. I hope that answers your question on how do you, when your people are over there, bring them back here. It's demonstrating empathy, showing that you've heard them, repeating it back, but then saying, okay, I've got some protocol questions here that I need to ask you. Let's go back to that. And that way they'll be much more, okay, great. Let's talk about that. Because once they feel validated and heard, the next step is usually not 100%, but a much smoother process. And you can help direct the conversation that way. So I hope that helps, Doug.
That was great. That was a great add-on. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Yeah, that was a good tip. I was an agent taking calls for 9 months, and that was a pretty big one, is sort of repeating back to the caller what the concern or what their request was. I understand ABCD, and then being able to sort of bring it back to that scripting and following the call flow to make sure that we keep control, and we don't just let people go off on tangents too much. So
it also begs the need to have a script. So,
yeah,
so that you
sure.
can actually
for sure.
make sure you stay on protocol and stay and get the information and qualify. I like to say you qualifying before you disqualify somebody. You know, you really want to ask those questions and make sure it's a good fit for you. So, and I know Christine had a question about, do you have ideas around best practices for ending the call?
Again, it goes to what we've been talking about as far as working on a script of how you want us to conclude that call. Someone will be reaching back out to you. I always let my potential clients say something like, someone will be reaching back out to you in an hour, at the end of the day, in 24 hours. Give them a time frame so that these people know they're not just waiting for an answer on that. So again, for us on our side, we will definitely work with you for that custom script. I do want to be mindful of our time. I hate to kind of interrupt that, but we've only got about 2.5 minutes left. So I want to be mindful of everybody's time who is on here. I'd like to answer one last question. I think it was from, where was it? Lauren. Can we change our plan once we sign up? My business is seasonal, so call volume varies. Yes, the answer to that is yes. We're a scalable company, so you're able to move up and down, including on that promo that Jack was speaking to you about. At the end of that promo period, you've got the metrics that she was talking about in the portal, so you can certainly see your call volume. Are you at a good place? You want to stay in that plan? You need more minutes? You need less minutes? We notify you when you're at 80% of your plan, so you can definitely talk to our client service team, who, guess what, is here 24/7 to take your calls. So it works out really well. I just want to say thank you to everyone here. I want to give really big thanks to Lisa for joining us. This has been more fun than I thought we could have. So you have just been a wealth of information. And of course, my colleague, Jacqueline, who I just love to be around all the time. So she is the smart one. She's a smarty pants. But thank you so much, Lisa, for taking the time to be with us and giving such great information. I do hope that you all take advantage of her QR code. If you have any questions on that, I don't know if we've got the last, I don't know if Hannah can put up the last shot of 27 up there. Thank you. If any of you want to take any of the information from there, take a screenshot, maybe that might be a great way to do it, or a picture. We are here to help you. We love to be a resource and answer your questions. Lisa has given her information as well. So I do hope that you all reach out. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We have loved having you. I hope that you received all the information that you needed from this webinar.
And thank you both for having me, and everybody at AnswerConnect. They have been phenomenal. Hannah and everybody in the team have been phenomenal to work with. So I'm so excited for this partnership. And so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Answer those calls.
And do it nicely.